in order to make it a bit easier for you to follow. So I'll be defining an act, a bill, an amendment, and a repeal. So an act refers to a law that has been passed in parliament, assented to or signed by the president, and has been documented in the Kenya Gazette. An act has the force of law. A bill, on the other hand, refers to a draft act. In other words, it's a draft of a law which is still in parliament and hasn't been assented to or signed by the president. Now, bills do not have the force of law yet. For the purposes of this video, we will refer to the laws which were recently passed by Ruto as bills, okay? Because they were only assented to recently. However, technically speaking, they have the full force of law because they've already been signed. Now, usually, there is a period of 14 days between the assent of the president and the gazettement of these laws. Basically, these laws are documented in the Kenya Gazette. Next, an amendment refers to a correction or an addition made to an act of parliament. And the process starts with an amendment bill to correct what we call the parent act. For instance, the National Land Commission Amendment Bill, which we will be discussing next, seeks to amend or replace certain sections of the National Land Commission Act. So, upon the gazettement or signature of this bill into law, it will then become known as the National Land Commission Amendment Act. Okay, so you get the gist. Finally, I will be defining what a repeal is. So a repeal means a new law which has come into place to replace an old one. So the old law stops having the force of law. For instance, the Privatization Bill 2025, which Ruto signed, will repeal the Privatization Act of 2005, which has been in force since, of course, 2005. Yeah, so let's move on to these controversial bills.